CinemaCast. I'm Kyle,
I'm Cody.
and welcome to season 4 of Saskatchewan's favorite movie podcast. We'll keep saying it; it's bound to be true. I don't know how many. Who are we competing against? Really, you probably fire instantly.
Uh, there's actually more than you'd think.
Oh, probably.
I think that one of the cooler ones that I actually saw before was somebody just bought out a giant bulk collection of movies, and like once a week they'd just randomly pick one from this giant bucket of movies, watch it, and then review it. So I mean,
Yeah, that's a decent idea.
it's
Yeah,
definitely different than like a curated list.
yeah. We're starting off season 4 with Fantastic Four. Part of my quest to get through as many movies with four in them before I have to stop. So far, I got at least 3.
What do you mean?
I'm doing as many. I'm gonna open season 4 with as many movies that like have a 4 in them, or are released in a year that ends with a 4, or released in a movie
Oh,
with
this
a
one's
4
like
in
a
it.
double whammy for you at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah, released in 1994, and it's called Fantastic Four. Actually, sorry, not released in 1994. Finished in 1994. Yeah, this movie was never released. Yeah, which is like, oh yeah, Fantastic Four in 1994. Oh, when did that happen? Yeah, no, it turns out they just Roger Corman, pretty big name in like B movie level films. He's done some bigger stuff. That's maybe doing him a bit dirty there by just calling him that, but he's a pretty big name. You, if you're any at all into like film, like a film, you've probably heard of him. He was like, he did some mentoring of like a lot of big directors know him. He was pretty influential in like the new Hollywood era, though he's a bit older than that. He, yeah, he's just producer of this film. He produces a lot of films, including a film that we might be reviewing sort of soon here. So we might be visiting some more Corman produced stuff pretty soon. I have a question, Cody. How is this the best Fantastic Four movie?
I mean, when you actually look at it, like unless like you're actually considering like animated stuff.
There's not there's not any animated Fantastic Four movies, I don't think, is there?
Oh, there's got to be at least a couple.
No, no, I don't think there is, because Marvel doesn't do a ton of animated movies.
They have an animated series.
Yeah, a couple, like 3, 4 animated series, no movie though. They did a Doctor Strange animated movie, an Iron Man animated movie, a couple short Hulk ones, but no Fantastic Four movie. Animated anyway.
I don't feel like I don't know, maybe this is just a little bit jaded at this point in time, considering like all the other flops of the Fantastic Four. I don't feel like the premise of the Fantastic Four even really has enough to really carry a series to the same extent as like Iron Man was capable of carrying over to the whole entire
Yeah, they've got like a road. Yeah, I think they're maybe
Marvel
good for
franchise into
movies.
like
I hear what.
stardom.
Yeah, yeah, I hear what you're saying. They're kind of maybe better set up for movies because you can do your one big villain, like every 2 years or whatever. And but I don't know if there's like a lot of storylines. They have a rogues gallery, just not a lot of like lengthy storylines that a lot of famous series comic series have. We do actually get like 2 villains in this, technically. We got Doctor Doom, who's in all the Fantastic Four movies, and also Mole Man, weirdly enough, or something approximating Mole Man. I think they call him something else, but he's Mole Man.
I mean, also like I'd like to state that like maybe like when the Fantastic Four originally started, Marvel wasn't exactly at their A game. I do believe it might have predated some of their um newer and bigger works like the X-Men and
So this is the first of like the hot Stan Lee stuff. Like like after this we start getting X-Men and Spider-Man and Hulk. This is the first out of that like wave of like stuff made in like the Lee Ditko Kirby era of Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is you are sort of right. It is like the first one they came up with, and it isn't the and it's not the best one. People like Fantastic Four, but they don't really keep up with it as much. They have had some good runs. Hickman did a good run of Fantastic Four that led into like Avengers and the like Secret War 2015 and so on. But they're not like the biggest. They don't have like the most popular stuff. They got some really good yeah, they got really good stories, but they're not like everyone's favorite, and they don't have reached the heights of like Spider-Man or X-Men or Hulk. Um or even Captain
Mm-hmm.
America or Captain America's got good stuff, or even Iron Man. But yeah, they've always they're A-list by pedigree, less than quality. Though they do have like some nice character
I
names.
think I was watching in some of the maybe it was a throwaway joke in the one of the newer Spider-Mans where they're like Peter was like, I want to be an Avenger, and they're like, maybe start smaller. I heard the Fantastic Four are looking for a couple members, and
That
like
was the first
I kind of
that was the first of issue of Amazing Spider-Man, was him trying to join the event, Fantastic Four too.
hmm. And I mean technically Fantastic Five kind of still has the same ring to it, but I mean
They've done it. If only during that era where before Valeria was born, and we just had what's what's Reed's son's name? What's the boy's name? I can't. They have two. Reed and Sue have two kids, and I don't remember the first one, even though he does way more in the
uh
comics. Franklin Richards. Franklin's the boy. It's funny because
is he the one who can make pocket universes?
that, among other things, like he is like really powerful.
Oh yeah, he's like an Omega level mutant at
Yep,
that point in time.
yep.
Like
He is absolutely. He
so
has that classification.
although I guess technically a mutant.
No, he's a mutant. It still counts
Yeah, I
because
know, but like there's such a weird classification of mutants because like there's like original mutations. It's like saying like Spider-Man's a mutant because he is bitten by a radioactive spider. We wouldn't technically classify him as like a mutant like you were born with genetic alterations that are going to affect your genetic makeup. Like it was an outside factor acting on a character compared to something that's just inherited. This is what I mean by
yeah,
mutant.
he does still count by the by that original definition, because like his your parents having superpowers makes you more likely to be a mutant. So like it's just that you're born with them.
Sure.
Yeah. I think even like I think Beast's dad was like a nuclear physicist or something, and that's why he's a mutant, because he got like radioactive is reproductive bits. I don't know. But yeah, no, they're very specific in that. But no, Franklin Richards is like X Men mute person with an X gene.
Okay. I was gonna make a bad joke about the Spider-Man comics where
Uh,
Mary Jane dies from cancer
yeah,
from having too much
yeah.
sex with Peter
Spider Man
Parker.
Reign
So
is the name of of that mini series. I read it. I just wasn't impressed by it.
I don't think anybody is impressed with that.
No, and like
It was a
it
really dark take on the whole.
yeah, it was like a Dark Knight Returns thing. Is what they were trying to do for Spider-Man. I don't care for it. But anyway, back to this being the best Fantastic Four movie. I mean, granted, not stiff competition there, but this movie does pretty good. It's a B movie, absolutely. But there's precedent for that. Like it's like got like this 50s B movie vibe, and like uh, Fantastic Four is originally released in 1962. That's not like a silly bit of influence to put on this movie. So
In
it works.
theory,
Yeah, in theory it works. Yeah.
this this movie has lost the most money we've ever done on the podcast
Okay. No. Okay.
in
On to
in percentages.
yeah, because it did technically there's
Like,
yeah. So what we okay, the backstory of why this never got released. In the 90s, there was a Marvel executive named Avi Arad. Or Avi Arad. I think Avi's the correct pronunciation of his first name. He was one of the executives of Marvel. If you've watched like a bunch of 90s, if you watched a bunch of 90s Spider-Man animated, you'll see his name in the credits as like an executive producer. He he was the reason. He's basically probably the reason we didn't get any Marvel movies in the 90s and stuff like that. His fear was he didn't want to like not spend he didn't want to spend a lot of money, and he didn't want to like have that result in the comics coming out being regarded as like B movies, and like degrading the brand name or the brand grade, whatever you want to say. He had also previously killed before this a Daredevil movie, and the original story for years, which we found out, which was suspected for years, and like Stanley confirmed it in quotes, is that this movie was made so that the company that made it, who had the rights to Fantastic Four's movie production, could keep their rights, and they started making it. And I guess Stan would tell us in 2005, with the release of the second the released Fantastic Four movie, that they had just done it to maintain the rights, and that it was never intended to be released. That second part isn't true. It probably isn't true. The first part of them making it so they could retain the rights, that is probably true. But they were Corman and them wanting to release the movie, but Avi saw it after it had gotten some screenings at like Ronald McDonald House or whatever, and like some people had seen it, and that's where we get the bootlegs from. And Avi didn't like the quality of it, and he didn't want to degrade in theory, degrade the quality of the quality of it, so that it would hurt band recognition. The defense here isn't necessarily good. It's just what Avi felt, and he essentially paid the company that made this movie to not release it. So they did make their budget back, sort of. The budget's $1 million, so some amount of money over $1 million was given to the company to cover the losses, because they didn't want to like screw them over, and they didn't want it to be, yeah. But that's evidently the story of why this never got released. It's not. It's almost less that I think it was more that the visual effects weren't up to what Avi wanted, which is fair. The visual effects aren't the best. They're one thing. The thing, and like if you've seen like images of this, you've seen like the Thing's makeup, and it looks really bad. It comes across better in the movie. I'll say this: it still looks rough, like it's very rubbery, but it moves quite well, which I was pretty impressed with. I think his audio's dubbed in and everything, but it moves fairly well. It's not the best, but it is fine.
oh,
Go ahead.
speaking of makeup problems within the Fantastic Four movies, in the like 2015 version, like the most recent Fantastic Four adaptation, with Miles Teller and Jordan B. Petersons. I can't remember his name.
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. That's who
Yep.
I was thinking of. I don't know who. Like their Doctor Doom's mouth can't move, so they had to redub in, or I don't know if it was planned that they had to redub it in, but they like if the character was specifically only supposed to be like talking through telepathy or something. But yeah, he can't move his mouth. I don't know if it was that, which is weird to me because like, well, CGI, right? It's all CGI, so I mean, I guess they probably saved a whole lot of money not having to like add in facial movement. to the
It might be a
character
physical
design,
mask,
but
but there's a lot of CGI
oh yeah.
surrounding it. It might be digitally enhanced, but there might be a physical mask there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like I think I was watching an episode of Pawn Stars the other day, and they were bringing in like really really early works of Avengers, and I saw the front cover to one of the comic books, and I just remembered how stupid like the original Iron Man design costume
Oh,
was, where it's like
the
literally
shell head
like
costume.
he's a tin can like shell head, and like I'm like so glad that they've decided to change up the character design into something more human like.
Yeah, like yeah, early '60s Marvel has a somewhat B movie vibe to it. When you really think about it, or at least some of it does. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Fantastic Four movies because I've made the claim that this is the best Fantastic Four movie, and let's go through that. Have you seen them all? The other three,
No, so
or what have you seen
I
of them?
I did plan on doing all three like movies this weekend, and then I couldn't find torrents for the two newer ones, and I really didn't want to spend money on
Yeah, fair enough.
either of those.
The most recent one is I haven't seen them like recently enough. I need to like watch them again to say which one definitively is worse. Is of Fantastic Four 2 from 2007 and like Fan Four Stick, which is the 2015 one. I remember Fan Four Stick. I thought it was okay for a lot of it, and then they just like switched gears on the ending, and I did not care for it. Like the ending got really it was like a dark movie with like the ending that would have been at home in this movie, and I had held out more hope than that movie probably deserved. When they showed off Doctor Doom originally, I thought maybe they were like, oh, okay, this isn't Doctor Doom, this is Annihilus, maybe, because they were going into the negative zone, and Annihilus is a big negative zone villain. And I thought the mask kind of looks sort of similar, and Annihilus has like a sort of a Doctor Doomy mask, if you think about it. But no, that movie just it was okay for most of it, and then I think they changed the ending. They did a lot of reshoots for that. There's like noticeable points where like Sue Storm's hair is different between takes and stuff. But yeah, that movie was pretty bad. The original two, I have a soft spot for the 2005 movie. It's not the best. I'd obviously want something better, but it's in a world where there's no other like Fantastic Four movies that it's serviceable. They do some good character moments.
It's still like it's weird to compare the like franchises, because my main problem is like I watched I think the 2000 like I watched the first Fantastic
Yeah,
Four,
2005.
like the 2000 whatever
5.
2005 version, um like so long ago that
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know how it'll hold up for me, like because there's no form of like nostalgia like there for the movie. Like going into it like looking to be disappointed. And the problem is last night I watched the first Spider-Man, like the Tobey Maguire
Yeah.
Spider-Man, and like that's doesn't hold up for me anymore. Like it was
Yeah.
still I'm not going to say it was bad, but the problem is I'm looking at everything as like now almost like under a microscope as
True.
like a film critic.
Yeah.
And like there was like at one point in time where I'm like, what in the fuck is that cut? Because if you actually sit down and watch it and just like think of how they're trying to pace that movie, it's just absolutely insane. Like I'm pretty sure if I was gonna like go in and watch the original 2005 version again, it's gonna be very, very,
Yeah.
or I'm gonna be very, very critical with it, to
Mm-hmm.
the point that I don't think I'll be able to enjoy it. at all. Or
I
if I'm enjoying it, it's for all the wrong reasons because it's bad. Um, also saw that Ghost Rider was on Netflix, and I might go watch that at some point in time too. Because
That has its moments. The '05 Fantastic Four is all right. They do weird things with Doom. All of the Fantastic Four movies except this one, weirdly enough, do weird things with Doom. This isn't the best Doom performance that ever exists, but it is a Doom performance. The other guys are not like Doctor Doom. They're very different from like what the character is in the comics, which is like the king egomaniacal villain of Marvel Comics. And they don't do that in any of the subsequent Fantastic Four movies.
also feel like Doctor Doom is super underutilized in
Mm.
the Marvel universe. Like there could be a lot said that like this guy could be like an endgame boss
Oh yeah,
that
no,
just
he
is
has
like
been.
slapped around by a guy who can stretch like super long. So I mean, I don't know how I feel about him.
Yeah, compare this how he goes down in this to like how he goes down at like the end of like the '80s Secret War or the 2015 Secret Wars, where like, oh yeah, I have like usurped God, and now you have to defeat me, which is the plot of both those events, which is fun. But Doctor Doom has some fucking moments because he's just like he's this
It's like a sorry, go on.
yeah, he's like this mad scientist wizard that like just kicks every that just like is always underutilized. They never make him as like if he and the comics have problems with this too, but he's can be like big time, like absolutely unstoppable. Best you could make an argument for him taking on like he has like all the powers of Iron Man and all the powers of Doctor Strange. Certainly where he's at, where
Mhm.
Doctor Strange is at in the MCU. Maybe not less so the comics, but that's definitely an argument. You could absolutely have like Doc Doom merge those power sets pretty effectively. And no one does enough to it because it's just too awesome a concept for like most writers to handle. But yeah, this is I mean
It's
he's a
kind of
guy.
like a it's like Squirrel Girl taking down like Thanos. Like everybody's like, "Oh, it's supposed to be like campy and comedic," and it's like that's what it feels like. Is like the Fantastic Four feels like. It's like if you want to do like a dark storyline, go watch or read like some of the X-Men comics. This just feels like you're like literally playing with a child
This
like
guy has this guy
character
has
powers.
usurped God at least twice. Like that's the
Hmm.
kind of character we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
But and then there's the Rise of the Silver Surfer, which is bad. I don't recall it too much. I don't even know if I've seen it all the way through, but I don't. It's not the best. There's some cool
I
stuff in
think
it,
I
but
think we
yeah.
we definitely could have done that movie ourselves at some point in time just because like in my opinion it was like super hopeful that like the 2007 Rise of the Silver Surfer movie would at least do half decent.
That is one of the iconic Fantastic Four storylines of like I think yeah, it's the Galactus trilogy. It's back when like it's only 3 issues long. Imagine that, like a comic mini series, like a mini series getting done in 3 issues, and it was like the whole thing where like Galactus came to Earth and Reed had to like hold a gun to this like Lovecraftian uh Kirby god, like Jack Kirby drawn god, and just tell him like leave or I will destroy you. It's like an awesome little storyline. It's I think that issue sells for like thousands of dollars. Those issues, I mean. But yeah, this one the reason I say this one's best. Um the effects aren't the best in this. They're not the best in the '05 one to be fair, or the '15 one. Like 15 has like the benefit of like having modern CGI technology, but it's just it doesn't look the best, and it's trying to be grittier than Fantastic Four can allow. Anyway, moving. So yeah, this is. Yeah, again, this a big part of this is they do Doom like in character at least. You could say what you want about the results, but he's in character, which is great. Like he's actually like a maniacal villain in this. They don't try to like make him hacker or make him in love with Sue Storm, which isn't really a thing. And in the instances where it is a thing, it's like he's interested because he's jealous of Reed, less that he because he actually likes Sue Storm. But anyway, yeah, it has like it has a charm to it. And I am on record as saying I really like the 1990 Captain America movie, which we have a podcast about that I do with Victoria. That's a good movie. Which I did said that was top two Captain America movies. Probably my favorite, actually. Like this is like that's a way, way bigger praise. Like saying this is my favorite Fantastic Four movie is a lot less of an ask than saying like the 90s Captain America is my favorite Captain America movie. But I think let's get into the movie. We've talked about this. It's the time we just explain why this is good. So we open
Mhm.
to space. I don't know why I had to do that. It was involuntary, Cody. I
Don't
might.
think that's actually the case.
I think I like if it happens again, I might need to see a doctor. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think I need to say space again in the reviews, so I don't think it'll be an issue. Yeah, it goes on for a long
Yeah,
time.
because
Yeah, we spend a lot of time in space as the credits roll. Then we get to show Reed Richards in college, in his wild party days when he's in college. Um, just pause
this
for
dude looks
laughter
like he's
there.
like, I don't know, 35 in this movie.
Yeah, and then
Like, I know the
in
guy's
the
not
10,
supposed to be young or anything, but like,
yeah, and then I mean he's going for his doctorate probably. To be fair,
yeah, but wasn't he like a super genius?
yeah, I suppose. Yeah, he might be. Yeah, that's fair. Yep, true point. True point.
Like most super like people with really high IQs finish like high school at like 7 years old and then like start
Yeah, that's a really.
like
I don't know if
college
it's
level courses really young. That's what I'm
true.
saying.
I
That
mean,
like
like it's never been stated that like Reed Richards skipped like graduated MIT at like 14 or something. That I don't think that's like a that's not like a commonly stated
at least
fact
they
with
did
him.
that but they did it in the new movie. In the 2015 version. He seems really young. Um
They've put him in like advanced
a lot of
programs
the
when he's young, but I don't know he's ever
mhm.
like been in like I've never seen I don't know if I've ever seen him like skip grades per se. It also does mean some weird things for like when Ben and him meet in college. Would that mean that like he's 20 and yeah, that would maybe it makes sense.
I mean the implication here is really stupid because like Reed Richards in this movie is like living at the house of Sue Storm and Johnny Storm,
Oh yeah, we're introduced to
and
them
like
pretty quick
when they
here.
first show Sue, she's like they're super young, and then 10 years later they get married.
Yeah, no,
Like,
it's weird because like I guess Ben and Reed are staying at are like being housed at like the Storm residence with like Johnny and Sue Storm's mother. And John and like we're introduced to Sue Storm, Reed Richards' wife. Reed Richards that we haven't explained who the Fantastic Four are. Have we? We just kind of jumped into the thing. Reed Richards is yeah. This Fantastic Four is Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm. Reed Richards is a scientist. Sue Storm's a scientist. Johnny Storm's a pilot, and Ben Grimm's also a pilot. There's some doubling up there. There's redundancy on this
sure.
team, which isn't a bad thing. There's reasons for that. But yeah, when we're introduced to like Sue and Johnny pretty early on, Sue is 15 or something in this. Like she's a teenager. but that's still pretty young, which is weird because the actress who plays adult Sue is the same age as Reed's actor, like 3 years
Hmm.
difference. I looked this up because I was curious.
Yeah.
The actors are just basically the same age. Like, so they just made this thing where she's playing a character who's like 10 years younger than Reed. There's weird implications
But
with
at
that.
least they're doing this. And that's the same thing that I disliked about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man is all the actors seem like they're outdated their character, where like Tobey Maguire's like 29 playing like what's supposed to be like a
17-year-old, yeah.
15 or
Yeah.
17-year-old.
18
like
year old, yeah.
and I think the 2005 Fantastic Four also kind of does this, where like their whole main cast just seems like they're
They're all
people in their
adults in
mid
that, though.
40s, and like yeah, but like I guess Chris Evans looks kind of young in it, but like Jessica Alba at that point in time was, I
Well,
don't
they're
know,
all
mid
adults
30s
in
at
that.
least.
So they're not trying to be teenagers in anything.
Hmm.
Yeah, this isn't Ultimate Fantastic Four where they're teenagers for some reason. Or Fantastic Four stick. So Reed's in college. He and there we get some little exposition on the one of the MacGuffin in the movie, a spatial anomaly known as Colossus, not the X-Man, unrelated to the X-Men, probably. I suppose it could just be Colossus getting thrown across the galaxy really fast, like he got put into orbit, but not just orbit, like faster than light orbit, because Colossus is some faster than light object that is rotating on like 10-year rotations around the solar system and is coming like really close to Earth. That like you can basically just see it, which couldn't be done because it's faster than light.
Okay, but like hmm, I have a problem with this
Okay, go ahead.
because like I understand where this is coming from. There was an anthology season, kind of an anthology series that I was watching a couple months back called like I want to say it was Tape 34, but I don't think that was the case. It was on Netflix. It was really good, but like their whole plot line was like an interdimensional portal opens up once every, I think, 75 years, or maybe it was something even a little bit smaller. I feel like in terms of like massive cosmic effects that have never been identified or at least experimented on in the terms of like scientific communities, I feel like 10 years is like, oh, this cosmic effect happens once every 10 years. Like everybody would know about this.
My understanding is like you can't see it because it's moving faster than light, and so that's why they never discovered it until like allegedly like the 80s in like the timeline of this movie. So they've maybe only known about this thing for since the last time it came.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, because yeah, I don't like it's. I think it's invisible except for like a brief moment when it enters like some part of the like space, like the space around Earth, and only like briefly and only through like a telescope. So they probably just missed it for a forever for a long time, and maybe you can only see it from North America. That's another thing. So like you would have so like not only do you need like sophisticated technology, you need that sophisticated technology in like certain parts of could even just be like, oh, it needs to be on like the east coast of North America. Like there's reasons for it. I'm techno babbling too, so but I kind of like it. I think there's interesting. It's not any sillier than like the Cosmic Storm, no relation to Johnny or Sue Storm. That's just a fun. Like imagine just Johnny's names his kid Cosmic. That's totally a thing Johnny Storm would do. He'd name his kid like Cosmic Storm. So Reed and his college buddy Victor, not given a last name in this at this point in the movie, though he is Victor Von Doom. I don't want to like a shocking statement here, but future mad scientist Victor Von Doom. But they're doing some like they're going to do a thing that will like siphon power from Colossus or something to that effect. Reed and Victor are talking about it. Reed's not sure about the numbers. and wants to like run some simulations. But Victor's like, nah, it's fine. It's fine. Like, why are you even doubting me? Do you trust me, Reed? Do you trust me, Reed? I like it's my calculations, so that means they're perfect. Well, like, would I, Victor on Doom, ever steer you wrong? But yeah, they're going to do this tonight. So we get to the night where the Colossus is coming to closest point to Earth, and they do their experiment. It's absorbing some power, but the machine can't contain it. So Reed bails from the machine. Doom starts getting shocked by it, and Ben Grimm, who rushes to the scene, shoves Doom out of the way so he doesn't, hopefully, doesn't die. They get to the hospital. Ben's getting like patched up for like electrical burns, and the doctors tell Reed that Victor has died. Victor just cracks up about it. Like he is really torn up over the fact that like Victor died here, and like I'd say racked with guilt. Like he genuinely is just like cries in like Ben's arms as just like this moment to like, oh shit, damn, my friend's dead. And I'm a super genius, so I don't need the A's for the rest of the semester. Yeah, it's like, what, you're gonna give me an A? If I studied, I'd have gotten an A plus. You might as well just give me the 110% on everything. It's just like, it's just like, I realize this is a hard time for you, Reed. Your roommate has passed away, and we're gonna give you A's for the rest of the semester, so that you don't have to worry in these trying times. And like A's, I could get an A plus in my sleep. You're making my grades worse, sir. Just when he goes for his second doctorate, it's like, your grades are quite excellent, Mister Richards. Your grades, you have a full 95% average. And it's like, yeah, it would have been a 99% average, but they insisted on lowering my grades after my roommate died. Just unconsiderate of them, honestly. I don't think that's the thing they actually do. I think they just give you extra time to do your tests when like someone close to you dies in college. At least that's my sister's
Depends
experience.
on your professor.
Yeah, yeah. No, my sister had to do some of that. My mom passed away in her last year of university. They gave her. She went back 2 weeks into the what would have been the summer semester and did her finals. But that I don't know that they
I
gave
think
her any grades.
when my grandmother was passing away, I requested some time up off to go see her, and like most of my professors were very supportive of that, except for this one person was like, "Yeah, no, you're gonna have to like turn in this assignment." So the very next day, I dropped that course. So
Hmm.
I mean, there's people grieve, and if you're not going to be sympathetic for that, I
Yeah.
mean, there's not really any reason I should continue with your course, especially like I think it was like I think it might have been an elective for me. I don't think it was actually something that I technically required. So
Yeah, no, for my sister it was like 2 weeks before final like a week before finals when all this happened. So it was just like, hey, I just need to take the tests later and I can't
mhm.
be there. So that's I think what happened. I don't remember specifically. That was a
I
while
think
ago.
I think you feel like you desperately need the course marks. So
Yeah, maybe.
like like because it's if it's at finals, like if it's 100% pass or fail at class, and they have to like book an auditorium or something for it, because I mean university courses, like some classes are proctored. I guess that's probably pretty simple to do for one person, but
Yeah, no, it seemed like the policy at like U of S was just like that. You come in, I think they told her just come in whenever you're ready, and we'll have those ready for you.
mhm.
As I assume what was told to her. Anyway, so yeah, that's a whole thing. But it turns out that Doom isn't dead. He's just mostly dead. And some goons are just like, "Hey, we'll do everything we can to save His Highness." Da da da. Yeah, he's not just Victor Von Doom. He's His Highness Victor Von Doom, King of Latveria. I think is Doom ever? I think Doom's a king. I don't know what he's listed as. I know he's like dictator. I don't know if he's like listed as a king. I'm gonna look this up real quick. I'm curious.
Which is really weird that you'd think that like somebody with a like just as much of an ego as like Doctor Doom has, he wouldn't be like going around calling himself like King Von Doom or something. Like he's going like, well, I've got a doctorate. The fact that I'm a king of a whole entire fucking nation doesn't really matter. It's just like, yeah, I'm a doctor. Uh, which is what I was gonna bring up earlier. Like Doctor Doom overvalues the idea of having a doctor. Well, like Mr. Fantastic really undervalues the fact that he has a doctorate because he just calls him Mr. Fantastic, even though like I guess his technical title would be like Doctor
Doctor
Fantastic.
Richards. Yeah, Doctor Fantastic. Yeah, I know he's called ruler of. He took it over. I think he's. I don't think he's a king. I think he's just dictator, like sort of thing. I don't think he has like a formal title, ruler of Latveria.
Which is
I don't even know. I don't. I don't think he's traditionally like he's not formally royalty. In the comics,
I love
like
how
he takes over.
there's the I like I'm pretty sure they're going on a play on word for Latvia because Latvia is a country.
Yeah, Latveria is just like a made up Eastern European country. It just sounds like okay, that's basically sounds like something from that part of the world.
Yeah, Latvia.
No, I don't know that he's technically a king. Yeah, I think he's just full on dictator of Latveria. I don't know that they might have called him king at some point, but I just don't know. He's made himself king. He's been emperor of the
Hmm.
world briefly. He's also briefly, it was a few months, I think, and he's been God King Doom. That was a storyline.
Well, weren't they trying to do this in the 2015 version where they Doctor Doom goes in through the portal and he just ends up staying there and taking over this planet?
Maybe.
I could be wrong, but I'm
Yeah,
pretty
I
sure that's
forget
the
what happens.
basis of it. And like half the movie, he's like, I need to get back to my planet. And everybody's like, no, we need to stop you, even though if you just go to your planet, nothing bad's gonna happen to us afterwards. Like, I don't like it's just like such a weird concession for this movie to like be like, no, we've got to defeat you, even though like if we just forget about this, like the problem's gonna resolve itself. Like,
So anyway, after this, we get our 10 years later, and Reed has finished some more research, and he's recruiting Ben Grimm to be his pilot for his spaceship that he's going to fly into vaguely into where Colossus is and absorb some energy. So that's a thing. And Ben accepts and decides to get some other people, and he recruits the Storm Kids. And I say Storm Kids in this because they're all at least 10 years younger than them in Canada, this universe. So that's fun. This is a layer this movie needed. And it's not, it has no precedent as far as I know. And they when Reed sees Sue, he realizes he's in love with her because love, love is in the air. And the next day, they're getting a diamond delivered to them. And when I say diamond, I mean a fucking massive dome of diamond rock, which is like the size of a dinner plate and like the height of a bowl. So
yeah, that's about right.
yeah, yeah, no, it's a big fucking diamond. I don't know. I don't think that's the biggest diamond. It would be the biggest diamond ever found, but it's big. I think there's technically bigger ones. And someone sees this getting delivered. Well, two people, some goons of Doctor Doom we had seen earlier in the movie. One of these guys was disguised as the doctor that was talking to Reed. And you might have had some confusion about why Victor was faking his death there, or why they were faking Victor's death there. It's never entirely explained. Some of it comes down to Victor Von Doom blames Reed for the experiment failing. In the comics, Doom just assumes that Reed sabotaged the experiment to make him look bad. So that's a thing. Also, Mole Man, a classic Fantastic Four villain, I can't remember if he's in Fantastic Four #1 from way back in the day, but he also sees the diamond getting delivered in this massive briefcase. Or maybe he's been tracking it for a while, either way. And so Ben and Reed go to retrieve this diamond, which is just getting delivered to them by courier. And they're just going to take it up the rest of the building, which for that kind of thing, I'd think that courier would go up to the lab. Just saying. Anyway, they bump into Alicia Masters, Ben Grimm's future wife from the comics. She is a blind sculptress who falls in love with Ben. And Mole Man sees Alicia and is also in love with her because this is a B movie. And he says for his goon to go find out where the diamond is getting dropped off, and that he is going to follow Alicia home so he can figure out where she lives. Because he's a B movie monster and he's going to go kidnap somebody. He's actually not that much of a monster. He's not as deformed as the comic book Mole Man. He just has sort of an eyepiece and is sort of wrinkly. So yeah, they get this diamond, and Reed sets it up in a secure location with like laser beams going across the floor. Doom is thinking about needing to stop. He's wanting to stop the Reed's space flight or something and do something to that effect. But he sees Mole Man go to steal the diamond sometime later, and he's just like, "Oh, so he's replaced that with a artificial replica. So I don't need to do anything. That energy collector or whatever is just going to explode once it reaches too much power because the diamond was going to be used to like disperse the power equitably or something like that. It's technobabble. But anyway, it's certainly if you're getting a diamond in something, I don't imagine a fuck ton of cubic zirconium is going to do the task. So yeah, Doom's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna let this play out. He's already done my job for me, and I don't need to do a goddamn thing. So Doom just laughs because he hates Reed. So the Fantastic Four go up on their space flight. Everything goes down as basically I described it. The ship explodes and they crash in the desert somewhere. God knows where. It's not specified. And they all somehow survive the crash despite the ship being in ruins. And Reed finds that a little bit suspicious. He straight up says when Ben finds him a little bit after the crash that like I don't feel any pain. I must be in shock because that's the reasonable explanation. But no, Ben eventually gets him up and he's fine. So they're not feeling him. So that must have been like a hellish couple minutes there where you just thought like, oh, I just fell from 100,000 feet or whatever the distance is to space, and I don't feel any pain. I must just be like a head sitting under some wreckage or something. I don't. Yeah, that must have been a terrifying couple minutes before Ben went and got him. But yeah, Reed finds it a little suspicious that they're all alive. Fortunate, sure, but very implausible. So something's up here. And soon enough, after they've gathered Johnny, Reed, and Ben, Johnny sneezes and causes a big fireball because Johnny Storm has become the Human Torch. And then they hear Sue saying some words, but Sue's nowhere to be found. Turns out Sue's invisible. I actually like how they do this effect at first. It's not particularly impressive, but it's kind of like she's partially invisible, so she kind of looks like a ghost hanging around, which her being a ghost isn't entirely implausible after the crash landing from space. So she's sort of invisible, and she has become the Invisible Woman. Because she can turn invisible and also do force fields that she only does once in the movie toward the end. Sue ends up being shocked by the fact that her legs aren't visible and falls backwards over a randomly placed cliff. And Reed stretches out to go grab her and pulls her back. And this is how he becomes Mr. Fantastic. That's not really related to his stretchiness. That's just a thing he called himself because he thought it was cool. Or someone thought it was cool. Anyway, there's differing. accounts of that, I think. I don't think I've ever read Fantastic Four #1, so Ben's still fine at this point, apparently. This is the comics do this differently every time this sort of origin story happens. Sometimes the changes are immediate, sometimes it takes a while to notice. But anyway, they're not putting Ben in the makeup just yet because the makeup is expensive. And imagine time consuming. Makeup's a pain in the butt to put on. But yeah, no one's found them. Johnny is panicking because they've been transformed. And he like stares at his hand, which he's made on fire, and he has like a bit of voices in his head moment. Doctor Doom is the first one to figure out that they are alive. And he shouts, "How? They're alive? No!" And he's just like, "Find them before anyone else does." We then cut to Mole Man, who kidnaps Alicia, who has been hired to make some memorial statues for the Fantastic Four, who are presumed dead in the crash. To do this, she is given like busts of their heads, and one of them she recognizes because she's blind, so she has to like feel like the facial curves and whatnot, and that's how she like becomes like a really good model sculptor. And she recognizes one of them from when she had bumped into Ben earlier, and she reads his name because she didn't get his name earlier, and she's like, "Oh God, that nice man that I bumped into that I thought was charming." Yeah, I think charming. I was gonna say cute, but she's blind, so yeah. I don't know. There's uh, audio cuteness, I suppose. I don't know. I don't know how blind people interact with the world. I'm not an expert in that. But anyway, she's kind of like, "Oh, that's sad. Like I had this brief interaction with this guy, and now I know he's gone." And yeah. But after this, she gets kidnapped by Mole Man and dragged away. In our next scene, the army has found the crash site and has come to retrieve the four. And they notice that Ben has changed into the Thing, which is a rock covered, bulky creature. It's a rubber outfit in this, obviously. It moves pretty well with his face, which I was pretty impressed with, actually. They actually prevent a misunderstanding, and it's like, "That's Ben. He's with us. Don't worry. He won't hurt anyone." So, and Ben's just like, "Reed, what have you done?" And this is like the classic Ben Grimm angst. So the army guys carry them around, and some scientists examine the Fantastic Four. The poor guy tries drawing blood from the Thing, doesn't know how. Johnny spits fire, which scares him. Sue turns invisible, which scares him. And when he gets to Reed, he's just like, "Hey, can you just take your own blood, please? You're a doctor." And Reed's just like, "Okay," and then stretches his arm out and grabs it from him from across the room. So that's pretty fun. Poor guy. Although it does turn out that he is a Latverian scientist, and this is just like a very complex operation where they've just pretended to be the U.S. Army so that no one else could get to these guys. So yeah. Also, the poor scientist stabs himself with a needle, which I know hurts. I've never done it myself, but I've seen Dad do it a couple times when we're vaccinating cattle, and yeah, it can hurt pretty bad. So in preparation for the Colossus thing happening, Doctor Doom needs to go and get the needs to retrieve the diamond from earlier so he can make his energy collector work. So he's going to plan to do that and get that back from Mole Man. He sends the two goons we saw earlier in, and he's just and Mole Man's just like, "Yeah, not for sale. So you tell your boss." And that's like, there's enough. Mole Man has a bit of a cult, so with like some pretty big guns. So yeah, just these two guys going in guns blazing to take the diamond are not going to be able to do it. So Doom's just like, "Hey, don't worry about it. I'll go do this myself in a couple days." In the meantime, Johnny's getting pretty impatient. It's pointed out that they're in this cell with no phone calls, no TVs. They haven't had any contact with the outside world. Sue points out that, like, "I don't know that they've told our parents that we're alive." So that's a pretty rough thing.
For everybody except for Ben Grimes and Reed Richards, whose parents are probably already dead because they're like 40s.
Yeah, they're not the parents of like Reed and Ben aren't really characters too much. In the Ultimate Universe, Reed Richards' dad is a bit of an abusive prick, but I don't know what they're like in the regular universe. So yeah, I don't know what their parent situation is like.
Reed Richards' dad?
Yeah, in Ultimate Comics, Reed Richards' dad was abusive. Like he would hit him and whatnot.
Ah, because in the
Sorry, to be
2015
clear,
version, Ben Grimes' stepbrother was abusive towards him. And that's where he came up with his catchphrase. Was his brother used to say that it's clobbering time and then beat the shit out of him.
oh,
And that is like a really dark callback to the fact that
dumb. Terrible. That's awful. Why would he repeat that as an adult for his moments of triumphs?
I don't know. I don't know. Like
That doesn't make any sense.
that's such a
But that was actually one of the things. Reed's dad was also a big fan of Ben Grimm. Yeah. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I don't know what their parent situation is like in the comics. Is my point. Sue's dad is around sometimes because he Sue's dad, or Sue and Johnny's dad, is a doctor, like a scientist too. In the Ultimate Comics, he's the guy that like gets them in with the Baxter Institute building thing, which is the building where the Fantastic Four live. So yeah, they're being told they're being kept in here, which is because they're contagious, which is one thing, but they're really cramped in here, and they don't have any entertainment or any contact with the outside world, which is pretty rough. So yeah, so they decide that like, hey, should we break out? Only if we're all going to do it together. I kind of like how they're all kind of a team throughout most of this. This is kind of nice. So they decide they want to escape. So Ben beats up some nurses in a scene which is just the camera spinning around, and then the nurses are beat up. The other three wander about in the nurses' hazmat gear, and leaving Ben behind because he sticks out, and because they're allegedly contagious, so they're going to keep them in there. They wander into some side rooms and find some computers. They're having their language in another. The computers have their text in another language, so they know they're not in the United States. They don't recognize the language though, so that's an interesting thing. And also the Cold War is over, so they're not in Soviet Russia. So I don't think Putin's not set up at this point yet. I don't think. So the shady, the Russia hasn't gone shady again just yet. As far as I know, I'm not an expert on like 90s Russian history. I know like broad strokes. That's about it. Anyway, so yeah, they find some stuff. They wander into a room where Doom has this giant laser beam, or this giant laser gun, and Doom walks in. And he's just like, "You have disrespected my generosity, my good people. You were like perfectly fine in your cells. I was being very generous with you, and now you've gone and like disappointed me. I'm just gonna ask you politely, just go back to your cells, or you are going to be in for a lot of pain." It's a shame he doesn't have like a deeper voice in this, because this guy's too much of a spoiled brat, which isn't like a terrible read on Doctor Doom, but he's just, you want him to be intimidating, right? It's like you always want like your bad guy in the movie to be like some sinister guy. It's like cathartic to have him actually be sinister, unlike real life where a bunch of like dictators are just a bunch of like absolute bitches in real life. Like most of them are. Like there's a couple, like a handful that have like good physical fitness or whatever, but most of them are just like fat sons of bitches that you can just push around pretty easily. Also, Thing walks in. So yeah, he's just like going away, and he's just like, all right. Doom's just like, all right, well, I'm not gonna sully my hands with you. You're gonna fight my goons. So they fight the goons and win pretty handily, and they manage to escape after Ben carries this entire fight, beats up most of the goons, and then breaks his way through the wall. I guess Johnny softened it up for him, but they break out and go back to New York. I don't know where they landed, so I don't know how big a trip that is. But anyway, and then Doom just walks in. He's just like, "Hmm." Literally, that's a quote. He's just like, "Hmm, that happened." Just like, "Huh, I thought this would work. This usually works." But yeah, I don't know if they clarified that Ben was bulletproof just yet, which he's very bulletproof. But so they get back to New York, to the building where they were studying. Reed does some of his own math.
Theoretically, they're all bulletproof, though.
Yeah, not really Johnny.
Well, no, but I'm assuming if he burns brighter than a sun, that the bullets would just melt as they're shot towards him.
Hmm. But as that's pointed out,
And like
I like that's one of the good parts in like
the
Fantastic
other,
Four 2005, where they're just like, go ahead,
I was gonna say Reed Richards could probably just like repel bullets by turning into rubber and bouncing them back. And then like
like
Sue
Monkey D.
Storm
Luffy.
has a force fields. Like yeah, is essentially yeah. I'm pretty sure
Yeah, I
this
guess.
predates Monkey D. Luffy by like at least like 60 years. But well, okay, no, not
Well,
60. I don't know when
not
that
the movie,
started.
but I don't know. Yeah, no, the comics definitely predate that by 30 years. I don't know when One Piece starts. I think it's 90s
Yeah.
sometime. Yeah, so
Ooh, wow. 1997.
for One Piece, that's a later than I thought.
Yeah, the manga. Yeah,
So yeah, so they get back to the Baxter building. Reed is doing some of his own math on their situation because he couldn't recover a lot of it because he doesn't speak Latverian or read Latverian. I think that's the language they're specified as using. I don't know. So yeah, Sue starts confessing to Reed that she loves him, and then he's just like, "Oh, gee, Reed, why am I so shy around you?" Which is a weird thing. It's not typically how this relationship is portrayed, but I buy it, which is a good thing because a lot of Fantastic Four stuff is just like, why do these two even like each other? And this, I think, works pretty good. Like this is a decent, like it's at least a reason, which you don't always get with Fantastic Four. But she's just like, oh yeah, why am I so shy around you? And he's just like, oh, Eureka, that's it. You turn invisible because you get a shy around people. Johnny, you turn things on fire because you're hot headed. I stretch because I stretch myself too thin. And Ben, you're always using too much brute force, which is not at all flattering and is absolutely something Reed Richards would say. And like this is a whole breakthrough for him. I think Reed is also wrong here, as we'll see a little later, at least for Ben. But yeah, this positivity isn't really working for Ben as they're like figuring out what's going on. So Ben ends up just wandering off because he's mad. There is the line that's dropped in this exchange where Johnny's just like, "Holy Freud, Batman," which is funny. That's a reference. And this movie is probably more like in line with like Batman 66 than it is with like a lot of comic stuff. So that's a worthy reference. So after Ben storms off, the public reacts to him a bit. He's a bit of a monster, so people don't like him. They don't full on recreate the iconic comic panel that Kirby draws. This man, this monster, where he's just like standing around in his blue underpants, his blue trunks, and while the rain pours off of him, and that's like a really good scene. They don't pay for rain to fall off him either, so yeah, it's pretty nice. Yeah, he's just wandering around with no hoodie or anything. But after he's wandering around a bit, and scares a few people, he gets invited to join the Mole Man's crew because he's outcast or whatever. So they start joining him in. We cut back to the Baxter building, and Sue has made made the Fantastic Four uniforms, and we have her and like Reed's just like, oh, you look great, and Johnny's just like, oh, you look like a dork, which is just perfect accurate boyfriend versus sibling dynamic. That's fun. But yeah, so that's the thing. We get our Fantastic Four outfits. They're pretty cheesy looking. The colors are right. I think the white blot is a bit too big. It's not stated that they're made of unstable molecules like they're done in the comics, so that's a thing. Did you have something you were gonna say?
No, I was just comparing these, this one compared to all the other ones.
Yeah, they're sort of comic accurate. They could be a little bit more sleek down or something. I don't know.
Oh no, these things are fucking ugly. I don't know what
But
you're on about. God damn.
yeah, yeah, they're. I mean, they're comic accurate, is what I'm saying. But yeah, they
Yeah.
need to be. They got like way too much of like a white neckline, and I think that's maybe needs to be a lot lessened. Yeah, I don't know. So we cut to the Mole Man's crew, and Mole Man is trying to get Alicia to love him. I mean, he's got a good giant diamond for that ring, but Alicia's not really satisfied. She states that like, "Hey, I'm not an outcast. I've never felt like outcast from society," which good for her, really. Good she feels that way. So
And that is such a dumb thing to bring up.
and like
Can we talk about the
also
fact that this guy, like, just kidnapped her and she's like, "Yeah, but you know what? You guys are kinda trash garbage people, and I don't really respect you as a person, so, I'm just gonna dismiss all of that and not even bring up the fact that you just kidnapped me and brought me into your trash underground lair in the sewers." Like, what.
yeah, the thing like Mole Man's running sort of a cult operation here. He's very much like going after people who have had like low points in their lives and are like bringing them into his inner circle as like people who are going to be extraordinarily loyal to them because they don't have anywhere else to go. And that is not the case with Alicia. As far as we know, we don't know that she doesn't have any family, but she seems to interact with people all right. We don't see anything that's is a whole thing. Like the mailman seems to know her all right. She talked to him for a little bit,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, and like she's also like she's not in a position to be receptive to like cult programming. Like cults have a particular type of mark. They may not realize it. Like I don't like I say mark, but I don't like it's not always all that targeted. I'm saying like the people that they'll succeed in recruiting usually are a certain way. But yeah, that's obviously not working for Alicia because she is not into all that. And the rest of these guys were supposedly recruited voluntarily. So that's a thing. So yeah, in the meet as Ben wanders in, he is being like welcomed in. And as Ben is welcomed in, Doctor Doom shows up to go get his diamond that he wants. So Doom raids the Mole Man's operation. He breaks his way through. He gets to the Mole Man's quarters to get the diamond, and Mole Man puts the guns to Alicia's head, and it's just like, "Hey, stop, or I'll shoot her." And Doom's just like, "So, who is she? I don't know her. Also, I'm evil." And he's just like, "Oh, that doesn't work." So he manages to chase off Mole Man with that. And then Ben wanders in and is just like, "Yeah, let her go." And then Doom takes a hold of Alicia and puts a gun to her head, just like, "Yeah, you care about her. Yeah, surrender or whatever." And Alicia's just like, and he calls him Ben Grimm, and Alicia's just like, "Ben, is that you? You're here to save me?" And she tells him she loves him, which is not a lot of precedent for this, but when the nice guy from I suppose a nice guy who bumped into you on the stairs is like at this moment is probably sounds pretty good. And at that saying, Ben turns back. He turns back to a person after being told that he is loved, which is why I think Reed was wrong earlier. The reason he's got this stony exterior is because he feels apart from people, which is precedented with some of the stuff that was happening previous to him turning. He was starting to like argue with Reed a bit as the night went on before he turned into the thing. So there's some precedent for this. I think this movie's all right written. Like the plot, the actors don't necessarily do it its best, but the plot's all right. It's passable anyway.
I think you're stretching a lot there.
No, I think it works out. I mean, it's not like it's not like a huge stretch. I don't need like super stretchy powers to get there. So yeah, Ben turns back to normal briefly, so he can't just fight Doom. So he beats up a couple of the Doom troopers who Doom has around, because he's an Air Force guy, so he does know how to fight. So he beats his way past two of them as he retreats, and goes and makes his way back to the street where he realizes he abandoned her and screams and turns back into the thing. This isn't like how it works in the comics, but I kind of like this. Like it's nice that Ben Grimm has a good thing for once. And as far as like this being like a one-off plot point for this movie exclusively, I think this is like nice. I can handle Ben Grimm having a nice thing. But yeah, he doesn't use this in the rest.
I mean, he's definitely portrayed differently than like I feel like he's like a lot more angry and I guess he kind of gets there sometimes in this movie, but like in
He can
the
be angry.
2005 version, he's gonna like kill himself and jump off a bridge, and then in the 2015 version, I can't remember if there's anything quite frankly that dark, but he's definitely angry at the situation, and I feel like the romance between him and whoever the other person lady is just so
Alicia.
stupidly manufactured in this movie that like it doesn't really hold any precedence for me. Like so like really like it just kind of underdefines him as a character to try and force this as much as possible because like their interaction was like what 1 3 minute conversation in the beginning, and then like that's really it. She's never even really seen his face at all. Like she knows his voice, and that's kind of like the whole like arc, and the fact that like they're like, "Oh, well, she's blind, so she doesn't really care how he looks." But like, like if I was talking to a blind person and then I started feeling the thing's face, I'd probably be like, "Am I touching a stone wall? Like, what? Like, did I miss you or something?" Like, it's so weirdly unexpected that she's like just touches his face and she's like, "Yeah, this is a person." So I don't know. It's just dumb to me. So
I feel like there's a joke there about him always being rock hard.
I think like if you want to go through all the like hard puns, I think it's already been done probably like
Oh yeah,
fifty
absolutely.
thousand times. That it's kind of like absolutely becomes stupidly redundant
How he's
at this
probably
point. Like,
ridged for her pleasure. Um,
yeah, I'm not going to justify this with a response at this point. Like,
that's fair. Yeah, no, this could have been. I think some that would have maybe fixed this is like a minute long scene where they have like a date before he goes up to the moon or whatever. Like that maybe
mhm.
would have helped. Yeah, it's not the best way this romance has been done. And there's absolutely some statements about like how this interacts with blind people, but I'll leave that for someone who's more versed in the subject because I couldn't begin to like say what the trope issues are there. So
And like at least like the Reed Richards Sue Storm is kind of a little bit better like in terms of like actual like believable romance. It's gonna just kind of
yeah, despite them like if this wasn't it wasn't for the part where like oh she's 10 years younger than him angle where like oh she had a crush on him as a child. So yeah, the romance would be better if like she wasn't like the 10 years younger than him. And I just have a thing about like people dating people they knew as children when they were an adult. I don't know. Moving on. So they're in the so do as after this scene, Doom sends Reed and Johnny and Sue a telephone call and says, if you guys don't turn yourselves in to me, I am going to blow up New York with my space laser or my giant laser howitzer or whatever it is. It's a weird thing. It's like a laser that like must from the distance must bend over the curvature of the Earth and like be able to hit anything on Earth. So that's a pretty scary thing. So Ben shows up and they go in together. They agree that they're going to go together. It's a pretty cheesy scene, but they apparently have a plane, like a fancy high tech plane that's kind of like shaped like the Fantastic Car from the comics. Doesn't look like it, but it's just like a Fantastic Car, but a plane. The Fantastic Car being a
Sure.
open air hovercraft thing with wings. So they end up at Doom's castle, and they get caught with raid shields, like Obi-Wan and Anakin and the Chancellor in General Grievous' ship in Star Wars Episode 3, which I guess is ripping this off, I guess. So they're like in a shield and they can't move, and Doom's just like, yeah, I'm going to drain all your powers away and then kill Alicia while you watch. Because I kidnapped her after I raided the Mole Man base because I wanted to like torture you, Ben, or whatever. So he's just like, hey, if it makes you feel any better, at least you saved New York for now. So Reed manages to stretch his foot out so that he can get outside of the ray shield and kicks over a machine so they aren't getting their powers drained anymore and they break free. They fight a bunch more of the Doom soldiers who they beat up really easily earlier in the movie. This entire scene is like flickered with like strobe lighting, which sucks. And as Doom wanders off, he sets off the laser to fire at New York. And Johnny Storm goes full flame, which ends up being like a CGI thing, which he hasn't done earlier in the movie. So he flies off to go stop the laser. Ben saves Alicia. Reed ends up chasing down Victor, who is just running away. He's kind of a that's the one complaint about him is he's a bit of a he doesn't really do much in this, and he kind of runs away from the Fantastic Four anytime he wants to. But yeah, so Reed and Victor fight, and Reed punches Victor with his stretchy hand, and makes some really cheesy lines about like this is for me, this is for my friends, this is for being a jerk. And Reed ends up and Victor falls off a ledge and is hanging on to the ledge, and Reed reaches down with his rubber hand to go save Victor because he's a superhero and that's what they do. And Victor's just like, "Oh, you're a pansy, Reed. You didn't have the courage to destroy me. Go ahead, let go whenever you want." And eventually, Victor's gauntlet falls off, and Victor Von Doom totally doesn't fall to his death because he's almost certainly survived this, especially with how he was cackling through the whole thing. My best guess is this is a Doom bot because after they leave the Doom gauntlet behind, it stops moving. So I'm guessing this is a Doom bot, and that Doom bots are a thing in the Fantastic Four where Doom will like have a robot go fight people instead of just showing up himself, which is sort of fun. Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, ends up flying, I guess, faster than light, and ends up catching up with the laser beam, and does a Dragon Ball Z style beam struggle with this, better than anything we saw in Dragon Ball Evolution. If this happened in Dragon Ball Evolution, that movie would have been a lot better. That would have earned it a whole other point, I think. But yeah, he does that, and he saves the city. And then the next scene, we end the movie with Reed and Sue getting married. So yeah, that's the end of the movie. How is that? What do you think? Final thoughts?
I don't know how I feel about this.
Fair, fair.
Like, I just like the Fantastic Four. There,
Mm-hmm.
there was a couple of good throwaway lines, like
Mm-hmm.
the Holy Freud Batman or whatever the fuck that line was. Like, that was okay. I
They
didn't
use the
like the whole
catchphrases,
B,
which is good.
the stupid B, like the stupid B line story turning into like the A line story. Like the whole implication that like like, they were trying to tie it off with a bow and be, like, super self-contained, but, like, honestly, like, I would've just liked, I don't know, something less dumb?
Yeah, fair. It's not the best. It's within its means, I
And,
think.
like, just what do you mean by within its means?
It
Like,
doesn't
it had
like
$1 million budget
yeah, which isn't a lot for this
in
kind of movie.
1994.
Yeah, I don't. I still that's still not a lot for this type of movie. We'll look up like what's look up a big movie in 1994 and see a comparison to it.
That's almost $2 million today.
Okay, yeah, that's still
I
not
know
a
The
lot.
Lion King came out in '94.
Stargate, Street Fighter, also a Double Dragon movie. Yep, Lion King. I'll find something that's maybe
The Mask
compare.
came out in 1994.
Yeah, I'm just gonna look up the.
Forrest Gump came out in '94.
Okay, I want to. I'd be interested in compare this to Stargate, or like Stargate's probably comparable to this. So a film like Stargate had a budget of 55 million. So yeah, that's not a lot of movie for money for like a sci-fi movie. What else did you
I'd
say?
also like to point out, I don't know if Marvel was definitely at its height in 1994.
Oh no, like they're like probably 3 years from declaring bankruptcy in 1994. Like actually, like
Okay,
Marvel declares
because
bankruptcy
like,
in the later 90s. They're doing pretty good at this point still, but yeah,
mhm.
budget on the mask was 18 million. So or minimum 18 million. So yeah, this is a really cheap movie for the time still. Yeah, just as comparison. So this is yeah. So they don't have a lot going on.
Like, I think a lot of the stuff that you could you, you could do this today for like, I don't know, like $30,000 maybe. Like,
Maybe,
just a
yeah.
really awful movie
Because
with like
yeah.
CGI graphics and stuff like that. Like, you don't need a whole lot anymore. But
Yeah,
I guess
they're
like two
primitive
million
digital
isn't.
effects.
Yeah,
Time Cop is 27 million since we're at that. So yeah,
like B-list actors.
this isn't using a lot of money. But yeah, there's just yeah, I don't think they could have produced something that looked much better than this. Like maybe like if someone was like really good, they could have done a little better, but I don't think it was on the table. We talked a lot. You want what do you give the movie, Cody?
Probably about a 1. I don't think it
Oh,
really deserves much better than that.
oh, that's why are you so mean to it?
I don't like campy.
Okay. Uh, I'm giving it a solid 6. Maybe yeah, like it's okay. I liked it. I'd watch it again.
It's a
I'd
good
maybe
thing
give
that
the
like one and done. I don't
I'd give the '05 one a 6 too, I think.
in the 2015 version.
Oh, that's I need to watch it again, but less than a 3. Like 3 tops.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like a 3 where it loses 3 points in the last 20 minutes. Like that kind of movie, you know those types where you like lose half your score in the last 10 minutes and just ugh.
I mean, I do believe that when I was like researching the movie, I do believe that they said that the pacing in this whole, like, that whole movie was so badly done. Like, the last 20 minutes, they like introduce and then like destroy their main villain like in 20 minutes, and like the other, I think it was like an hour and 30 minutes was just like running up padding time at that point in time. And I mean,
Yeah, it also felt like they had scrapped what they had originally and like had like the entire ending redone in
mhm.
reshoots. Like that's a very reasonable impression on my part. I think that they just reshot an entire ending in reshoots.
And like, yeah, I really don't know where I'd like once again, I think it boils down to, I don't like giving a film a 0 ever.
Yeah.
um if there was anything closer than like a 1 integer, I would be like, yeah. But I'm giving it a 1, and it's a
Yeah, zero feels to me like it would have to be like a non-functional movie, whatever that means. Like, like I don't know what that would look like precisely, but like it'd have to be like something totally unfunctional, or like maybe something just like horrendously racist, like all the way through with like no redeeming qualities. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, but yeah, I'm also not interested in like reviewing like that sort of movie on the show. I'd review a non-functional movie. I don't know if I'd review some that like I kind of have a policy. I don't want to review evil, if that makes sense. Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Is I was gonna say, is evil a film?
No, no, just like
Or, like, just, like, evil in general? Like, something
yeah,
that's just, like
like the movie is like an act of villainy.
yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like you get what I'm saying there. Just like if like this is just like trying to make someone look horrible and just is not like a functional story if you don't like have that evil in like bad stuff in it,
Mhm.
which is actually harder to do than you'd think maybe because there's stuff that like is racist, but it's like it's called like it's racist because they've picked up like cultural things from like other people, and it's not like their original thoughts as much. It's just like some they don't know well enough not to use. Whereas like evil would be like this is a movie about how such and such is like evil subhumans or whatever.
Mhm.
Like yeah, because I know there was movies like that that exist. There's maybe a handful that like could have some outside, um, like I think Birth of a Nation is apparently like has like good cinematography for the time, but that's about it. Like I think anything else like that would be
Oh,
yeah.
there was, like, another part I actually really wanted to touch on
Oh, go
here.
ahead.
The
Yep, go
score in
ahead. Go
this
ahead.
movie was fucking awesome. The score in this movie, like, the
Oh, yeah.
music
All right.
was half decent. Like, if there was one redeeming quality out of it besides, like, a couple throwaway lines, I think it has to be made up by the score because, I mean, the storyline didn't
Hmm.
do it for me. The visual effects really didn't do it for me. The acting really did nothing for me. So, like, they have, like, 2 good lines and, like, a half decent score.
Music is by David Worst and Eric Worst. So I guess good job on you two.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, no, it's yeah. So next time we're doing Phase 4, which is an alien horror movie. If I remember correctly, I still need to watch it yet, but that'll be fun. That's because we're going on with movies that have fours in them. After that, I think maybe Fast and the Furious, not the one you're thinking of, the original from 1954. That might just be what we're doing. But yeah, follow us on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook at Kylan Physical CinemaCast. Like, comment, subscribe, leave reviews where you see it. Give us those 5 stars and whatnot. And see you guys soon.